This is a Maamar of Pashas Chayesora Tavshim Mem Daled. Has a lot of brackets that we're going to skip. So please listen closely, because we're going to keep on skipping many brackets. Otherwise, the Maamar must probably take us more time than we have. VeAvraham, Zaken Baba Yomim, and Avram was old, coming in days.
Want some salmon? Help yourself.
And Avram was old, coming in days. So the Hashem Berech Avram Bakoil, and Hashem benched Avram with everything. Maybe it was about Yom Ledes, and the one whose birthday is in Chav Cheshvan. In other words, the Rebbe Rashab brings, skip the brackets, in the Maamar of that was said 100 years before Tafshim Mem Daled and Tafresh Mem Daled. Skip the brackets again. This is Medrash Rabbah. It's brought down the Medrash. Rabbi Levi Omar. Rabbi Levi has an interesting explanation. What does it mean by Hashem Berech Avram Bakoil? Rashi Chumash wants to know, what does it mean Hashem Berech Avram Bakoil? Either Koil means a daughter, whatever. So, but Rabbi Levi says Berech Avram Bakoil means Omar Shlita B'Yitzrei. Rabbi Levi said that it means that he gave Avram Avinu control over his Yetzirah. Hainu Zesh Hashem Berech Avram Bakoil Shlita B'Yitzrei. Umakshi Bezen the Rebbe Rashab in the Maamar asks, what type of great brach is there in this in comparison in regards to Avram? We know Avram was tested with 10 tests, and he withstood all those 10 tests. Therefore, what's the bracha that he made him be able to have control over his Yetzirah? He was already in control of his Yetzirah. What else did was Hashem going to give him now afterwards? Before saying that Hashem benched Avram with everything, that we just now understand that means that he made that Avram Avinu ruled over his Yetzirah. Magdam Akos of the pasuk proceeds, Avram Zaken Baba Yomim. Avram was old; he came into days. The Kivim should say about Torah Gamkin Seder by Rosh Badavar, since the order in Torah is also an order in the lesson of the matter, similar to what we were learning in yesterday's Shiur. Hare move, and it's understood that they lias avai berch Avram Bakoil. So to be able to come to the state where Hashem benched Avram with everything, Shlita B'Yitzrei, he gave him control over his Yetzirah. Has to be prior to this, that Avram was old, coming into days, and that brought about the next step. That was step one. Step two was he made him rule over his Yetzirah. So he says in the second paragraph, Mavar b'zabar Maamar, and the Maamar explains concerning this. Skip the brackets to line 21. The inyan anisayin who hester ponim shenimshach moel matoyu. A test is a hiding of Hashem's face that comes from the world of Toyu, which is where all klippos come from, etc. Avram she'amad b'chol hanisyonos. Avram that withstood all the tests. Hu shebir es haklippos sitra achra shemastirim ala oravayv k'shasei. Means that he refined, Avram Avinu that refined all these klippos sitra achra to conceal the light of Hashem and His holiness. And he drew down the severe revelation of godliness down here below. That's what it means that Avram Avinu was benched by Hashem, that he made him have control of his Yetzer, that instead of up till now, that Avram Avinu had these tests to deal with, now Hashem benched him, that Avraham Avinu will not need anymore to battle his Yetzer Hara. Top of the next page, V'sitra Achri, won't have to battle the other side. They will automatically be refined in a way, not called in a way of war, but in a way of menucha, where he doesn't have to engage and fight with it. V'hainu, this means in the world, in the avoid of the world of tikkun, meaning in Seder Ishtalshus. Hamasakinas Olamatoyu, that repairs and elevates the sparks that fell from the world of Toyu. Yesh Beis Shlavim, there's two stages. Initially, one needs to sublimate and subjugate the klippa, make klippa subservient. That's the first step. Following that comes the avoida of transforming the klippa, that he also transforms the bad to good. That's the idea that he made Avraham rule over his Yetzer Hara. Avoida this avoida of the transforming of the Yetzer Hara. The 10 tests that Avraham Avinu withstood earlier, all the challenges that we're saying that Avraham Avinu proved himself in, these are all things that were in a way of iskafia, of only subjugating and sublimating the klippa, making klippa subservient to Hashem and to His will. But the bracha that Hashem gave him is that now the klippa and the negative will become transformed to good. We can say this is also the connection to what's explained in the body of the Maamar itself. We're going to skip a bunch of lines down to almost the bottom of the page, line 19. Shaboy, at the end of the Maamar of the Rebbe Rashab, he explains the idea of both the Sphira of Malchus, the way it rises up, and also the way it is drawn down. Skip to the end of the brackets on line 22. The Inyan Aliyas HaMalchus, the idea of the ascent of Malchus going up. Skip the parentheses. It's similar to the avoida of sublimating and subjugating the klippa. The idea of drawing Malchus down. Skip again the parentheses. Is similar to the avoida of transforming the klippa. So therefore, the beginning of the Maamar and the end of the Maamar is talking corresponding levels, except one is talking about Avraham within himself, and the other is talking about how it is in the spheres above, about Malchus going up or Malchus coming down. So the Rebbe goes on in the second paragraph, to be able to understand this matter with a further explanation. We find this topic explained even more so in a Maamar that Tzemach Tzedek, skip the brackets to the next line. Now that over there he asks the same question. What is the praise? What's the excess? What's the so much a greater blessing given after he was tested with the 10 tests? What did he gain from being able to control or given control over his Yetzer Hara? What was the benefit and what did he gain from it? We're going to skip the brackets again to the fourth line, line number 4 on the next page. And the Tzemach Tzedek explains the the idea of transforming the idea of making him control over the Yetzer Hara, rule over the Yetzer Hara, is the idea of transformation of darkness to light. So Chassidus explains that by transforming darkness to light, we reach a much higher level than just sublimating. Through transforming darkness to light, we awaken above, we draw down a greater divine revelation than just through the Nisyonis, than just through Iskafia, sublimating the klippa. Similar to the advantage of negative commandments over the positive commandments. Let's explain at the beginning of Sefer Lekutei Torah, where the Maamar is on Parshas Pekudei, the mitzvahs asay sharshem chias vavke d'shem Havaya. The positive commandments, those come from the last 2 letters of Yudke Vavke, meaning a lower level than the mitzvahs loisa say sharshem chias Yudke d'shem Havaya. The negative commandments come from the Yudke of Shem Havaya. So Yudke is higher than Vavke. And we see that negative, not doing, is higher than doing. And he's going to explain how that could be. Vagam shalamata ba'olam arikim mitzvahs loisas hu aidei shlilo meniya masiya sheval tas. Though down here in this world, how do we fulfill negative commandments? It's through negative and withholding doing, sitting back and don't do. According to this, it seemingly needs explanation. How is it possible to say that they are higher than fulfilling a positive commandment and actually doing something? This is not doing and this is doing. Shouldn't being proactive and doing something be something higher? So the Rebbe brings down what the Alter Rebbe says in the Torah, in the sentence. Actually, the very question is the reason why. The Torah, like explain the Torah, the Mishum Shesharshim Gevaya Yoser, since the mitzvahs loisase are higher than the positive commandments in the mitzvahs aseh, lachein I efshar lasis kli ala oir hanimshach al yodan aidei asiyah. Therefore, it's impossible to make a vessel for the light that comes down through this great level of loisa through action. There's no container, there's no vessel that can contain this high level of loisa, and therefore we cannot do anything. It's by not doing, not having anything. The comes about specifically through not and negative, not doing. Similar to knowing something via negative, that through it we can grasp higher than knowing something through a positive. There are things that we know because we know what the thing is. Then there are things that we know because we know what it isn't. You ask what Hashem is, you can't identify what Hashem is. You can only say Hashem is not physical. He's not limited. He's not. He's not. He can do anything, meaning he has no limitations on his doing, etc., etc. So how do you know Hashem? By what he is not limited, not physical, not tangible, not visible. Davke, because the knowledge is from not, you reach a higher level. Whereas the things that you can know in a way of chiyuv, that you know what the thing is, that is something that has to be closer and lower to you. In a similar vein, that mitzvah loisase, which is a level of not doing, can have to do with a higher level of light than the mitzvah aseh, which is doing. And now, in a similar vein, he compares the ishapcha, transforming klippa, is a higher level than just sublimating klippa. On line 20, Valderech Zeh, Gam Kein Avoid of this half is also the avoid of transforming klippa. Through that comes down a much higher light than through the avoida of iskafia, through just sublimating the klippa. That's what it says, that Hashem benched Avram with everything, second paragraph on the page. That he made Avram have control of his Yetzer Hara. This is a praise after the praiseworthiness of him coming into days. The Baba Yomim Heina Mitzvah. We know that coming into days, these are positive commandments. Like it's brought down the Zohar, what does it mean he came into his days? It's a very strange expression for being older. Why is being older called Baba Yomim? So he says that his days were complete. They were full. They weren't lacking and deficient a single day. What deficiency are we talking about? Every single day he did his service in the study of Torah and fulfillment of mitzvahs. Because every day has its own job that is supposed to be done. And what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do tomorrow, doesn't help for today's day. Today I need to do what I need to do today. So that was Baba Yomim. Every day was complete, which is mitzvahs aseh. The Inyan Vashem Beirech Avram Bakoil, and the idea that Hashem benched Avram Bakoil. Shishlita B'Yitzrei, that he made him have control over his Yetzirah, who kimai milas mitzvahs lois al mitzvahs lois al mitzvahs aseh. It's like the advantage of negative commandments, since it was about transforming the klippa over the mila of aseh. That mitzvahs aseh isn't just using things that could be brought into the world of kedusha. You're using it for kedusha. So now the Rebbe is going to expand this even more. Last paragraph on the page. More specifically, Yesh loimar the inyan of Avram Zaken babayom. The idea of Avram Zaken came into the days. Avram was old. He came to the days. Koi heina mitzvahs aseh veheina mitzvahs loiseh. In truth, the coming into days and Zaken is referring to both aspects, the positive commandments and the negative commandments. The Kiyam Avram Avinu as HaTorah Ad Shaloi Nitna. We know that the Torah was fulfilled by Avram Avinu prior, Kula, its entirety, Ad Shaloi Nitna, prior to its being given. Koil Mitzvahs Loisa, including also the negative commandments. Still in all, in what type of way did he fulfill it? All of this was in such a manner that it says about Avram Avinu, similar, quoting what David HaMelech said, that my heart is empty, is within me. She'ein lo Yetzer Hara, he has no Yetzer Hara. Now, when we say he has no Yetzer Hara, that doesn't mean he transformed his Yetzer Hara. He just got rid of it. He pushed it aside. How do we see that Ein lo Yetzer Hara means that he didn't transform it? So he's going to give an example from something totally unrelated that says concerning Mashiach's times, or it says, B'chlal, if you will go in my statutes, you will follow my ways. It says in B'choisei Talechu, it says, V'hishbati chaya ra min ha'aretz. I will be shoives. Hishbati from the word Shabbos. I will cease. I will make cease wild animals, dangerous animals from the land. In this cessation, there's two explanations. Before we read it inside, and we say it outside. One way of saying V'hishbati chaya ra min ha'aretz means I will get rid of these animals. There won't be any lions, there won't be any tigers, there won't be any bears anymore, no panthers, no dangerous animals. They'll be gone. That's one way of explaining the pasuk. Another way is, a deeper way is, they will exist, but I will be mashbis them. I will make them cease. I will make them stop. The word Shabbos is from the word stoppage. In modern Hebrew, shvita means when you stop working, a strike. So I will make them stop from doing bad, which is a level of ishapcha. So ein lo yetzer hara does not mean transformed, but it means like the first meaning in Ishbati Chayim and Arts, I'll get rid of it. I'll get rid of the yetzer. He got rid of the yetzer hara, he got rid of the bad animals. Let's see it inside. Line 3. Bedugmas Pirish Aleph being a Vishbati Chayim Ramin Arets. That what we say about that Avram Avinu had no Yetzer Hara before Vashem Berechs Avram B'Koil is similar to the first meaning in the phrase that I will make stop the wild animals from the earth. Maviram in ha'olam mean he'll remove them from the world. Hashem will remove them from the world. They will cease entirely. But afterwards, after Avraham Avinu reached the state of Zaken Baba Yamim, he did all the mitzvahs. He also kept away from all the loises, and he had a stage of V'libi Chol Kirbi Ainli Yitzhahara. Everything stopped and so on. So then, V'acharkach, and afterwards, Balin and Naila Yoser, Avraham Avinu came to a higher level. Hashem Berechs Avram Bakoil, that Hashem benched Avram with everything, meaning, like we brought originally from the Medrash, Rabbi Levi says, She Shlitoi B'Yitzroi, he made Avram in control of his Yetzer, not got rid of his Yetzer. Controlling his Yetzer, V'hu Masha Oived Avidose Ba'Yetzer Gufa. That means that he does his service not despite the Yetzer Hara, but with his Yetzer Hara. Initially, he first sublimates and subjugates the Yetzer Hara. And following that, also the avodah of transforming that he transforms the Yetzer Hara to good. This is also what it says, behold, it was very good. Hashem said at the end of the creation, at the end of 6 days of creation, behold, it was very good. Now, the entire creation, it says, Vayar Elokim, Hashem saw that this day was good. What he did on a different day was good, and so on. At the end, he said, Tov Ma'od. What is this Tov Ma'od? If you have the first day is Tov, the third day is Tov, the fifth day is Tov. So, a whole bunch of Tovs add up to Tov Ma'od. How do you get from just good to very good? So the Chazal say that when it says, V'hinei Tov Ma'od, v'amrazal, Tov ze Yetzer Hara. The word Tov goes on the Yetzer Tov. I'm sorry, Tov ze Yetzer Tov. Excuse me for misspeaking. Tov is going on the Yetzer Tov. Ma'od, very, as in very good, ze Yetzer Hara. That's the Yetzer Hara. So the Rebbe asked the obvious question: the lechura eichu Yetzer Hara Tov Ma'od. How can you say the Yetzer Hara is very good? Inyan, who the idea behind this is, the kasher. Skip the parentheses. That's the Yetzer Hara l'Tov. When we transform the Yetzer Hara to good, Oz nase Tov Ma'od, then it becomes very good. And here we're going to learn the brackets. We're not going to skip it. Let's continue in the brackets. We say them as even more so. Transforming it to good. This is actually what the Yetzer Hara needs to reach its own perfection. Like it's brought down in Zohar, and like it says in Zohar, brought down Tanya, the famous Marshal, that the king hired someone to convince the prince to do an Aveda, but that purpose was that the prince should withstand the test, that he shouldn't fall through the Aveda. The content of that Marshal is Yetzer Hara himself doesn't want that we should listen to him, and he's only coming to test. So this is all, this nature of transforming the Yetzer Hara l'Tov, that's the second meaning, Vishbati. B'dugma spiritual base being Vishbati Chayra Min Haaretz. That's similar to the second explanation of what will happen when Mashiach comes, that Hashem will make stop all wild animals, evil animals from the earth. Mashbisan shelo yaziku. He will stop them, he will make them not be hurting, not damaging. Ishapche, the idea of transformation. V'zeu achidush, the avodas Avraham. That is the novelty and uniqueness of the avodah of Avraham. Shavidosa, hoyser loyrak boyfen divuli bichol bekir b'shein Yetzer Hara. His avodah was not only in such a manner that my heart is empty within me. Why was it empty? Because he had no Yetzer Hara, which shows just on his kafiyim, or maybe even lower than that. Elagam the matzasas levavi nem lefenecha. It says you found, that Hashem says about Avraham Avinu, you found his heart faithful before you. The Isa b'Yerushalmi, it's brought down the Yerushalmi Dimash and Namar levavi b'shnei bezin. Why does it say his heart with 2 letters beis? Es levavoy nem lefenecha, not es liboy. Levavi with 2 beis is similar to V'ahavtas Hashem Elkecha b'chol levavcha with 2 bases. We know b'chol levavcha with 2 bases teaches you that it's supposed to be, the love of Hashem has to be both with my Yetzer Tov and my Yetzer Hara. The same thing the Yerushalmi says. Why does it say about Avraham Avinu, Matzasa levavi nam lefnecha? Why does it say with 2 letters beis, u'mishum she'asas Yetzer Hara shalei l'tov? Because Avraham Avinu transformed and made his Yetzer Hara into good. So he had like 2 hearts. He had his regular heart of the Yetzer Tov, and he had also the heart of the Yetzer Hara, and both of them were with the program to serve Hashem. So he says in the last paragraph on this page, "V'zeu gam ken achidush the inyan ishlitoi biyitzroi al nisyonis nasa Avraham Avinu v'al b'kulam." That is the uniqueness. That is the specialness that Hashem gave Avram, to have control and rulership over his Yetzer Hara, over the tests that Avraham Avinu withstood all the tests. The whole avodah of withstanding a test and a challenge is only removing a concealment and covering. The inyan hanisayin hu helen v'hester. A test is concealing something, it's covering something. The noise was in addition to the fact that the world in general, the word world, oilam, is from the expression concealment. In other words, the entire idea of the world conceals godliness. But the concealment and the covering of a test, there is a unique property to it, more so than the concealment of the world. The entire being of the test is only an existence of concealment, whereas the world may externally be a matter of concealment, but internally it's a godly, it's the word of Hashem, etc., etc. In addition, and except for the concealment of the test, it has no true existence whatsoever, the test. Skip the parentheses. Like it's known, the example of this, by the test of the Akedah, where Avram was told to bind Yitzchak of Avram himself. When he went to the Akedah, to one of the mountains that Hashem said, I will tell you, the Satan came and turned himself into a river. Why? In middle of the way, to block Avraham Avinu's way, to be able to prevent Avram the possibility of going on the mission to travel to do what Hashem tells him to do. Avram Ahmad bin Esayin, through Avram withstanding the test, and Avram Avinu jumped in the river. It was revealed retroactively that the river is not a true existence whatsoever. All the river came for was to conceal and cover and to test a person. Even though you could say this is something that occurred with Avraham Avinu, so the Rebbe says that was an example to teach us for every test. When a person makes a resolution strongly, not to take in consideration the test, it's only a fantasy, it's only in his mind, so then the Nisayan ceases. This is all similar to the avodah that my heart is empty within me, that he doesn't have a Yetzer Hara. Just like in the Zaken, it doesn't exist. The same thing, the Yetzer Hara stops existing for him. That was stage 1 of Avraham Avinu's avodah, dealing with the 10 tests. Next stage, afterwards Hashem gave him a higher concept, a higher level. That Hashem benched Avram with everything, that he gave Avram control over his Yetzer Hara, that Avram Avinu should also be able to work with the Yetzer Hara, with all your heart. What does it mean with all your heart? Again, two beis with both Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. So now the Rebbe brings this, of course, to us. Similar to this avodah that Avraham Avinu had, second paragraph on the page. Has to be the avodah of each and every one of us. Initially, there has to be the avodah that it came into days, had full days, does the mitzvahs aseh, the positive commandments. Afterwards, he comes to grasp Hashem through the negative, meaning through the negative commandments. And afterwards, beyond the skafia, beyond subjugating and sublimating, then to make him rule and control over the Yetzer Hara. Yes, Shleimer, we could say, when initially he serves Hashem in a way that he comes in days, complete and whole days, and afterwards he comes to a negative comprehension and understanding of Hashem through the levels of the negative commandments. And afterwards he makes the person, or afterwards the person goes ahead and has control over his Yetzer Hara. Maybe this brings about this becomes a close preparation to his own personal redemption. What does it mean, redemption? Removing the spirit of Klippa. That should be that the spirit of Tumah I will remove from the earth in his own miniature world. Through the individual redemption of every single one, we come to the general redemption of the entire, each and every Yid. Like it's known the statement of the Alter Rebbe, the Isa b'tikunim that's brought down to Kuni Zoyar, Shafilim haya tzadik echad chayzer b'tshuva shleima b'doyroi haya b'Mashiach. Even if one tzadik would do tshuva completely in his generation, Mashiach would come. Like the Rambam says, Shafilu echad ha'isa ma'isa echad. Even a person one person that does one action, machriya atzmi b'chol kulil kavskus, he tilts the scales for himself, for his entire world, to the side of merit. He causes for himself and for them, the entire world, a salvation until the complete and true redemption in the entire Klal Yisrael, from their smallest to their greatest. And Mashiach's times will be that he will make him have control over his Yetzer Hara. Like explained concerning the idea that the wolf will live together with the sheep, and a young lad will be leading them. That shows again the second meaning of Ishbati Chayim and Ha'aretz, this idea that I will make that, not that the bad animals will cease to be, but the bad animals will be transformed. In addition to this, final page of the Maamar, then even being minor and small will be at an advantage. V'nar koten, like it says, a young or a small lad will lead them. Like it says, Mi yakum kat Yaakov kikotnu, who will raise up Yaakov that he is small. So we see Yaakov, Yidden, will be the level that's called small, and we will be raised up at that time. Than action, which action seems to be smaller than emotions or intellect. Still in all, when Mashiach comes, we'll see the advantage of the small, the minor, meaning the action. There'll also be the advantage of Malchus and the moon over the sun. Even though Malchus is usually the lowest level, it'll be Eishes Chayil Ateres Baila, that'll be higher. Skip the brackets. Like it says, the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. The light of the sun will be 7 times like the light of the 7 days of creation. When the cave the save of Gover, and the female will surround the man. Miles Knes Yisrael, the Bnei Yisrael, the feminine, that's the Yidden, they will have the advantage over the higher levels. B'yeser Seisu, B'yeser Oiz, in the most powerful way, in the strongest way. V'aschol Lazati B'zman HaGolus. The beginning for this will be in the time of Golus. Like it says to Hamel Chaim Zochu, that on Erev Shabbos, those who taste from the foods of Shabbos merit life. The same thing, even before the Golus is over, we have to taste of all of these wonderful blessings. In Mashiach's times, it's already in the final moments, in the final days of Golus. Yikuim Mashukos will be fulfilled where it says that their kings will be your pedagogues and their officers, or their their ministers' wives, or whatever they will be, your nursemaid, until in the future they will, speedily nowadays, they'll bring every single Yid of the lost children of Israel as a gift to Mashiach in a pure vessel. That's going to be the gifts that the nations of the world are going to bring Mashiach. To our holy land, to our city Yerushalayim, the holy city, to the holy mountain Yerushalayim, to the base of Migdash, Migdash Adonai Kohen Yedecha, the Migdash of Hashem, your hands prepared, besimcha u'v'tuv levav, with joy and gladness of heart.